If someone wanted to enjoy the artistic and architectural splendor of a Romanesque cathedral, they'd likely head to Europe.
But lucky for us, we have an example of one right here at home, Sacred Heart Cultural Center. In this month's edition of Hometown History, Kim Vickers explores this stunning building.
Sacred Heart Cultural Center is an iconic part of downtown Augusta with a rich history. In the 1800s, Augusta was made up primarily of Protestants with one Catholic church. By 1874, a Savannah bishop decided that the growing Catholic population in Augusta warranted a new church, and Sacred Heart Catholic Parish was born.
And the boundaries of each parish were drawn geographically at that point, and 13th Street was the boundary. So anyone who lived on that side of 13th Street went to what was then referred to as St. Patrick's, and anybody on this side attended Sacred Heart Catholic Parish.
The members of Sacred Heart knew from the start they wanted to build a grand cathedral for worship. It took several years, but Sacred Heart Catholic Church celebrated its first Mass on December 2nd, 1900. For most of the 20th century, the church served the community, but by the 1970s, attendance dropped. The last Mass held at Sacred Heart Catholic Church was July 4th, 1971. Added to the National Register of Historic Places in 1972, it sat empty until the mid-1980s, when Peter Knox Jr. and his sons bought the property through their company, Knox Limited. They might never have done it without the encouragement from Knox's daughter-in-law.
And I wasn't from this area, but I fell in love with this building, and I would ride past and I would see the students out in the yard with the nuns, and I would pretend that I was in Paris looking at Madeline. That was one of my favorite children's books. When it was put up for sale in about 1978, that's when I say that I started the little part, very little part that I played, which was mostly nagging.
In 1982, Knox's company purchased the property and restored it. It eventually opened to the community in 1987. Sacred Heart remains iconic in downtown Augusta. Hundreds of couples have taken their wedding vows, and thousands have danced in the Great Hall. It's hosted garden shows and movie nights. Huff and Knox Hudson hope the legacy continues for as long as possible.
Poets have said, a thing of beauty is a joy forever, and beauty is truth, truth, beauty. And I kind of have a feeling that, you know, even if you can't ever go to visit beautiful cathedrals in Europe, if just walking by a place of beauty might touch somebody's heart.
For more on the history of Sacred Heart Cultural Center, including the story of some of the mischief young priests got into when it was a church, just head on over to WJBF.com. That's just part of your hometown history. In Augusta, Kim Vickers, WJBF News Channel 6.